A federal judge threw out criminal charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, ruling that the U.S. attorney appointed to bring the cases was unlawfully installed. Well, in response to that, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told reporters that the DOJ will be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold James Comey and Letitia James accountable for their unlawful conduct. So, what does the judge's decision ultimately mean for these two cases, and what might be the way forward through all of this? Well, joining me now by phone to discuss this and more is Congressman Brad Knott. He serves on several committees, including the Judiciary Committee. He represents the 13th Congressional District of North Carolina. Congressman Knott, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. Listen, first of all, let me just say, with Thanksgiving approaching, I do want to note, at least from my understanding, that the turkeys that were pardoned at the White House today actually came from your district. So I suppose congratulations are in order for that.
Well, I know that those turkeys are mighty thankful, and yes, North Carolina 13 leads the country in many respects, and we have some of the finest turkeys around. So thank you for bringing that up.
All right, there's a few running around in Congress too, from what I understand. But all that aside, listen, prior to serving in Congress, you worked alongside law enforcement at all levels to prosecute organized crime in cases that touch virtually every corner of the country. So when you look at what happened, what the judge did yesterday regarding Comey and Letitia James, what were your thoughts on that?
You know, unfortunately, it's an extremely bad look for the judiciary, and it looks like it's a blatant political play, and it seizes on an interpretation of the statute that does not hold water in practical terms or constitutional terms. And I was very much disheartened by it. I really was. Again, it was a politicization of the judiciary that we have unfortunately become too accustomed to seeing, and it needs to be undone. And these cases need to proceed on the merits rather than with this sort of political weigh-in.
Yeah, I mean, on the merits, I think is spot on. These are pretty significant cases, and just to be thrown out like this, I'm certainly no attorney, but everything I'm reading, at least most everything I'm reading, like you, have huge question marks about this. Yeah. I mentioned a little while ago, but Attorney General Pam Bondi told reporters that the DOJ will be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal. What are some of the actions that you're aware of that the DOJ might take?
Well, the DOJ can certainly make an expedited request here to stay that ruling and to continue the case as they were planning on doing and as they were working towards. And essentially, I don't know if you understand the crux of this issue, but when the new president comes into power, the Senate can often delay approving appointees. And in every district around the country, there's around 100 districts for federal prosecutorial purposes. And in the Eastern District of Virginia, there was an interim appointment named Eric Siebert. And those interim appointments further the prosecutorial directives of the president on an interim basis. And those interim appointments are supposed to last 120 days. Once that appointment reaches the 121st day, the court that is within the Eastern District of Virginia can affirm another 120-day tenure if the Senate has not gotten around to approving the prosecutor. And in this particular case, the predecessor to Ms. Halligan, the current interim U.S. attorney, resigned. And Jim Comey and Letitia James said because the 120-day period had expired, only an Article III judge could fill that slot. And that argument is unbelievably problematic because if you think about it, that is saying that an Article III judge has to choose the prosecutor who will be bringing cases before that judge. That's an unbelievable conflict of interest. It's a separation of powers issue. The U.S. attorneys and the interim U.S. attorneys are entirely a function of the presidency, the Article II power. And with that being said, I think that this interpretation, this ruling, I think it will be quickly overturned, and then the case should be able to be released, and we can go forward as
Wow.
they were planning on it. Does that make sense to you? It's a very nuanced.
It really does, and that creates some real constitutional issues, what you just described. And so I agree with you that this is probably going to be overturned rather quickly, but it's just a brazen act of either ignorance to the law or political activism is what it appears. So I appreciate you going over that. Listen, we've only got about a minute or so left, so we've got to be real quickly. I wanted to shift gears slightly. The Epstein files coming out. We've only got 30 days. A lot is unfolding here in all of this. What do you think is going to end up happening with all this?
I hope that the Epstein files, I hope that they're going to be released in a way that gets any kind of criminal conduct publicized. I hope that it can be as thorough as it can possibly be. And I hope that the Department of Justice will work with their attorneys around the country to again, dump criminal activity, dump the flight logs, dump the island visitors, dump the folks who knew they were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, even though he had been convicted of child sex crimes, but protect people who were completely innocent bystanders. That's my hope.
We hope so, too.
Too much. Yeah, that might be too much to ask for, but, there's something worth achieving, and that's it.
Thank you, North Carolina Congressman Brad Knott. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you for joining us today.